In that moment, I like literally disappeared. Like I got erased from history.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Mark Athavan Andrews, aka Sisqo, born November 9th, 1978. Today's feature was one of the top performers of his generation. He was also much ahead of his time with his style and songwriting capabilities. It's one thing to create magic once, but to do it twice like Sisqo did with the group Dru Hill, then solo becoming one of the top-selling artists on his debut solo album, including 2 smash hit songs that made Sisqo a superstar in music in the early 2000s, one would expect nothing less than career dominance, leading to all-time great status would follow. Instead, one more album in his prime that also went platinum, but that's where the train stopped for the next 14 years. An entire generation of music lifespan before Sisqo released a third album, and to no surprise, it went in however many ears and out the other. Shocking to see this happen to an artist when I was growing up was on the same level entertainment-wise as a Chris Brown, Beyonce, and even, dare I say, Michael Jackson. At least he attempted and had the potential to be, and to think he was just beginning his solo career. When his Thong song dropped in 2000, I remember it being the song of the year, and everywhere it was being played or sung by someone, especially the summer of 2000. Thong song was the vibe. It's amazing looking back at it and seeing that song didn't perform as well as I would have thought. It did peak at number 3 on the Billboard 100 and went platinum, but to know the impact of that song, you would think it at least sold 5 million and spent weeks as the number 1 song in the country. He managed to have a bit more success with his third solo single, Incomplete, that did go number 1, becoming his highest charting single, and went platinum as well, when again, the impact of that song was way stronger than the numbers may say it was, which brings me to an interesting fact about Sisqo's career. For some reason, he never seemed to get the recognition he deserved for truly being an entertainer in every sense of the word. Nowadays, you can't tell if your favorite R&B singer isn't in fact a rapper or vice versa. But as far as dancing, stage presence, fashion, interviews, and of course the music, Sisqo should be up there and talked about more with some of the greatest of all time. I was shocked to see he only put out 2 albums in his career basically because after missing 10 to 14 years of solo output, I really don't even consider the later albums toward your catalog. At that point, you might as well be a new artist. Sisqo really had the chance to grow to dominance throughout the 2000s musically and be remembered as one of the best to ever do it. Yet, no one talks about him nowhere close to in that way, and for these reasons, his growth was stunted. Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Sisqo is a singer, songwriter, dancer, and more from Baltimore, Maryland, Reservoir Hill, Druid Park to be exact, hence the name of his initial group Dru Hill. Before the music, Sisqo met his fellow group members working at the same dessert restaurant in Harbor Place, where they would often sing for the customers while they waited for their order. Not long after, they decided to take it serious and form a group, leading to platinum and gold albums from '96 to 2002. The group decided to all release solo projects after Woody, a member, left to go solo and the Sisqo journey began. He wasted no time and released his debut November 30th, 1999, and upon release, it didn't perform as expected. Behind the first single, Got to Get It. But then, in February of 2000, when Thong song dropped, everything started to increase and the song blew Sisqo out the waters into superstardom. His talents as an entertainer on the solo side was shining through as he seemed an easy choice for solo success. Stunt number 1, blacklisted and not pushed by his label. You know, in sports, when you see a player and obviously his talent level is elite, but something about him even being at your local park or gym is off, so you walk up to them and you ask, "Yo, why aren't you playing somewhere?" earning good money to play for as good as you are. And they say to you, "Aw man, I got hurt, injuries, or my coaches didn't like me." Well, that's the same as a music artist saying he's been blackballed or blacklisted. Usually you take it with a grain of salt and understand you may never know the truth, so you shake your head at his explanation and continue on. But in Sisqo's case, when he sat down with This Is 50 and said blacklisting is what happened to him, I actually believe it. He was too good a writer, singer, dancer, and performer to not be one of the biggest male artists ever in R&B and hip-hop. Like mentioned, I was shocked researching his work and seeing his singles not perform on the charts equivalent to the impact I felt when they came out. Album-wise, his debut did tremendous, selling over 5 million copies in the US alone, even though the singles themselves didn't sell as expected. That could also be because during the ringtone era, fans look for more club-type songs or something upbeat and fun, and not as sexual as the Thong song blasting across Walmart or the heartfelt Incomplete letting everyone know how sad you are at the moment. But album-wise, Sisqo dominated the first go-round. Then, as he says during his second album, he and his label began to rub the wrong way. For Sisqo, he wanted to put people in position to earn that were from his neighborhood or ones he grew up with, so would hire them for things like choreography, clothing design, studio and engineering, and wouldn't use label-acquired employees. The label then deemed him, quote, hard to work with and started to undership or promote his songs or albums. He said he spoke about it once publicly, and that's when the blacklisting started and you never heard from him again. It's the unfortunate part of life, really. Once you become so elite that money for your services are involved, there'll always be someone less talented than you, but put at the gate, making you tap dance to their liking before they let you in a way to show you aren't anything without them, and really you're not as powerful as you think. Unfortunately for Sisqo, it worked and took away a bright entertainer from music in the 2000s and early 2010s. Stunt number 2, deciding not to play the game. Along with the labels not promoting his albums in the US, they would also do things like not allow him to be in certain videos with artists that weren't affiliated with their label, like Lil Kim and the video for How Many Licks, which Sisqo wrote himself and meant to also show up for the video. They do this so the fans would take a disliking toward the artist and in turn not support. They'd even take his name off award shows and, like he said, literally erase him from the history books to the point he decided to just stop playing the game and bow out. In his mind, in 15 years, that gatekeeper probably won't even have that job anymore, but he'll still be able to sing. I understand that, but being an entertainer is not that simple. In 15 years, there's no promise you will still be the same entertainer physically and mentally, not to mention who knows where the industry will be when you're ready to come back, and that's what I think finally sealed Sisqo's fate. Stunt number 3, came back to no fans. Sisqo's plan to step away from playing the game altogether and fall back from music was honorable and commendable at the same time, but it also may have been misguided and emotional too. Like, if you don't want me to play, I'll just take my ball and go home. In that situation, you've heard many artists call it the crossroads you meet when you become a top-tier artist in the entertainment industry. Many call it selling your soul, which people confuse with some sort of dark ritual you take part in that puts you to sleep and you wake up to all this success and riches, but it's not. It's actually really simple. The powers that be, gatekeepers, or whatever you want to call the people at the top of these labels and companies that run these labels, have been rich so long that they have become weird in what makes them excited after experiencing so many excitements. One thing that will never get old is the feeling of power. The power to make the same artists fans are screaming for bend to their knees doing everything the powers say or else. Selling your soul is giving in to those requests or doing those things that could range from sexual favors to simply allowing them to run your show like they wanted to do with Sisqo. He didn't allow them to, hence keeping his soul, so to speak, which is just his creative ideas personal to him, and they erased him. All in all, Sisqo to me is still a great artist. He had it all and then some in being ahead of the fashion times as well, and actually would be great in today's music. But so much time has went by that as an artist he was just forgotten or never heard of to the younger generation. Even his music you never hear play on throwback stations and channels, and no major artist talks about his influence in urban music, but it was vast. Salute to Sisqo for standing up for what he believed in and not selling his soul, so to speak. But for these reasons, he had to take the bullet, and his growth was stunted. Much respect. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.